Hey everyone, and welcome to month 8 of our 12-month chess improvement challenge. Let's start with a check-in. How are things going? Last month we talked about calculation, which is the process of visualizing sequences of moves before we actually make a move. I challenged you to work out your calculation skills with some really tough puzzles in the study cave and hopefully bring that experience over to your actual games. I hope you're seeing the improvement, and if you still find this difficult, don't worry, because this is something that players at all levels of chess have to continuously practice, even super grandmasters. This month, we're looking at a topic that I really don't see covered in a lot of chess books or courses or videos, and I think it's because it's something that is hard to figure out exactly how to train. That is focus. It's one of those intangible psychological aspects of chess, but if you think about it, it's actually the deciding factor in a lot of games. If you lose focus for even a second in faster time controls, you might blunder and throw the game away. If you struggle to focus in longer time controls, it probably affects your time management. Speaking of calculation from last month, your ability to focus on a position for a really long time and hold all the aspects of that position in your head along with your candidate moves can be really exhausting. That intense mental fortitude comes more naturally to some people than others, but I do believe it can be trained. Even if you're the kind of person whose mind is constantly flying all over the place, first of all, I understand, but there are strategies that can help you improve your focus, and this in turn is going to improve a lot of aspects of your chess. So how exactly are we going to work on this? First, I'm going to challenge you to add periods of intense concentration to your current chess study routine. Part of why it's so hard for a lot of people to focus is that our world today is full of distractions. Our attention spans are so limited because we're constantly being bombarded by a plethora of new information. I don't know about you, but I can waste a ton of time just scrolling through social media, and each little post or video or clip or whatever has about 2 seconds to capture my attention before I just scroll on to the next one. Our brains aren't primed to focus these days. So the idea here is to set aside time for chess, maybe 5 minutes or even 10 or 15 if you can handle it, and get rid of all distractions. I suggest keeping this period short to begin with, and then you can add minutes as you feel comfortable. We're trying to go into this deep concentration mode where our minds aren't wandering to work troubles or family obligations or whatever was on the news last night. And this is kind of another level to the calculation work we were doing last month. This might be a good time to work on some of those more advanced calculation puzzles and spend that time actually going through all of your possible candidate moves, calculating them all the way out to the end. Try to do this in a quiet room and eliminate all the distractions that you can. Silence or even power down your phone, flip it face down, or stick it in a drawer if you need to. And also ask your family or your roommates not to disturb you. If you can, try to do these puzzles on a physical board. I find, at least for myself, that if I'm trying to do puzzles on my phone or on a computer, it can be very tempting to open another tab or app or get distracted by notifications. It's also a lot easier to just guess and check, because it's a lot easier to just click and click and click and then go to the next one, as opposed to if you have a physical board in front of you, you actually have to take the time to set up the pieces for each puzzle, and so you're a little bit more likely to actually sit there and calculate it out. So the next level to our training is preparing for distractions that you might experience in actual games. If you play over the board, you know that sure, the playing hall is supposed to be quiet, but there's always people getting up and walking around or coughing or resetting the board after their game is over. There's a lot of distractions happening. And if you mainly play online, I'm sure you know how distracting your home environment can be. So the idea with this next exercise is to actually put yourself in a place that will have a lot of distractions, maybe a public place like a coffee shop, and then either continue that calculation work that you were doing in the silent room that you put yourself in, or actually sit down and play some games. Finally, something that can help improve your focus when you're actually in the zone playing a longer time control, I'm picturing specifically like a tournament setting, but this can work for online play as well, is to give yourself a break. It's almost impossible for anyone to spend hours and hours focused on the exact same thing without that concentration starting to crack eventually. Give yourself a short break to get up, walk around, and think about something other than the game just for a few minutes. You can kind of feel out how much your brain needs it. Everybody's going to be different. I aim for about every 30 minutes or so. Then when you return to the game, your focus will be refreshed. This can really help with stamina during long games or when you have multiple rounds in a single day. And if you don't give yourself breaks, Your brain will eventually do it for you, and usually that comes at a less than optimal time. Get the blood flowing, get some fresh air, and then bring yourself back to that intense focus zone. As a side note, being intentional about what you're eating can also really help with concentration. There are studies that show that eating things like green leafy vegetables, berries, nuts, or anything with healthy fats, and caffeine are the best for this. So make sure you have some good snacks before you go to play chess. As always, feel free to share any tips you have for good focus when playing chess down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you soon.